If you've spent any time whatsoever scrolling through fitness social media, then I don't doubt you've come across debates and arguments and content arguing about training splits and which one you should be doing and which one is ideal. And if you have, then I'm also going to assume that you have been left scratching your head wondering which one you should be doing, which one is going to be wasting your time, and how you can fit that into place. And in today's video, I'm going to explain to you why your training split probably doesn't matter. Which I know is controversial or strange coming from someone who spends the time writing training programs and writing training splits for people. But if you give me 5 minutes of your time, I'll explain, and it'll just make everything so less complicated, and you'll put so much pressure, or I should say you'll put so much less pressure on yourself when it comes to your training. For those of you who aren't 100% sure, a training split is just a rough outline of the structure of your training. So we've got a few obvious examples. The bro split, chest on one day, back on another, you do an arm day and you do a leg day. Push-pull legs. We've got upper body, lower body, where you will alternate whether you're doing upper body or lower body, obviously. You've got full body, so every single workout you do is a full body workout. And you've got some other ones as well. These are just ways to organize your training, but people online seem to spend a lot of time arguing about which one is the best. A lot of the fitness content creators you may have come across online are usually young, they've got lots of free time on their hands, maybe they still live with their parents, and so they're in a position where they can prioritize their training. They can train as many days a week as they want for as long as they want. And I have been that person before. For them, they've got the energy and the bandwidth and the mental capacity to argue with each other about whether they should be doing full body or upper lower or push-pull legs or bro splits. And if you were a professional athlete or a 20-something-year-old kid who doesn't have any real responsibilities, then yeah, sure, you could worry about this too if you wanted to. But the problem is that training splits as a general theory, as a general structure, start to fall apart when you gain responsibilities. You've got a busy career. That means you've got to spend long hours in the office. You run your own business maybe, you've got family, you've got young kids, you've got a social life, you've got to commute to work, you've got to travel to different continents for part of your business. Like, all of these things are going to come before your training, and that's a good thing. You shouldn't prioritize training over your family, your social life, your work. Like, you've got bills to pay. Training should be built around those things, not take them over. On paper, full body workouts might be the best, let's say. But it might not work for you because the number of days that you can get to the gym, the length of time that you can spend there, injuries, experience, whatever it is. And I think this is where a lot of you will go wrong, is that you see information online that applies to a certain individual or certain group of people, and you will pick that up, understandably so, because it's put across in a convincing manner, and you will try and jam that into your own life. And this is a problem because what will happen is it will become obviously unsustainable and unrealistic, and you will end up becoming frustrated or disappointed that you can't follow a particular training split because you feel like that's what you need to do. And then you just go, sod it, you know what, I'm not even going to bother trying. If I can't do push-pull legs, which is the best training split, then what's the point? And remember, the training split doesn't matter. It's just a way to organize your training. And for some people, cool, that's fine. But for a lot of you, you'll need to be more flexible. So if your training split doesn't matter, what does? Well, to an extent, if we're looking at getting stronger and building muscle, then it's going to be your training intensity, i.e. how hard are you actually training? It's going to be your training volume and frequency. How many sets do you do per exercise or per muscle group, and how frequently do you train that muscle group per week? And it's going to be your ability to be consistent, i.e. you show up for weeks and months on end, not just here and there when you can. So if you're in a position where you can go to the gym 4 days a week, you might decide that an upper body, lower body training split is going to work. You can do upper body on Monday, lower body on Tuesday, upper body on Thursday, lower body on Friday. And that ticks the important boxes that we said, because you can then have enough rest in between training days so that you can train really intensely. So that if you go in on a Monday and you do some heavy sets of bench press for your chest muscles, you'll be recovered to be able to do some heavy sets of dumbbell press or flies for your chest muscles on the Friday or the Thursday, whenever it was. It ticks the box for frequency because ideally we probably want to be trying to train every single muscle group at least twice a week. Training volume is good as well because the fact that you're training that muscle twice a week means that you can have, 4 or 5 sets on one day and 4 or 5 sets on another. And if you can do that 4 times a week for a long period of time, then consistency takes care of itself because it fits with your diary. But if you can only get to gym 3 days a week, then an upper body, lower body training split is going to be horseshit for you, because you're not going to have the time to do the 4th training day. You'll just do upper body, lower body, upper body. Now I say that out loud, that doesn't sound too bad, does it? So if you allow yourself to be convinced, if you believe that you have to be doing an upper body, lower body training split in order to maximize your gains, then you're going to be disappointed and frustrated when you cannot do it, even though it was unrealistic, unsustainable, and unnecessary. That's a lot of uns, isn't it? To start with. Whereas if you just accepted that you can only get to the gym 3 days a week, you could do an upper body, lower body, full body training week. And it kind of works not just as well necessarily, but it works as well as it possibly can. You could do full body 3 days a week and you could train your chest muscles on Monday and on Wednesday and on Friday and just do bench press, chest flies, dumbbell press, 2 sets of each. The point I'm trying to make is that when it comes to your training programs, you can be creative, and you probably need to be if you're a busy person with any sort of responsibility. If you want to become the strongest, most jacked version of yourself, then your goal should not be every week to tick off a certain training split. It shouldn't be, this week I'm going to do upper body, lower body 4 days a week, unless that fits, of course. Your goal should be, right, I need to make sure that I'm getting very close to or to muscular failure for a good number of sets for each muscle group, for each exercise, at least twice a week, and I need to show up and do that for a long time. And so you find a way to do that. I've got clients who have to travel abroad fairly frequently for their work. Their programs look very different from a week-to-week basis because of that. I've got clients that work strange shifts and very long days, and so their training program will differ depending upon whether they're on shift or not that week. Some of my clients can get to the gym very frequently, but they can't stay for very long. So they get 25 to 30 minutes, but they might be able to go 6 days a week. So they have a lot of frequency with their training, but very little time to get a lot of work in. Again, a different program is required. The problem with a lot of these arguments online is that they assume everyone is a blank canvas, that you can simply take an idealized, optimized approach to training and just plug it into your lifestyle. And if you are a busy person with responsibilities, with a social life, family, a career, your own business, then you will know that that's not really how it works. As a personal example, I couldn't even begin to label what my training split would be. On a Monday at the moment, I nip into the garage because I don't have time to drive to the gym, and I do a few heavy sets of stiff-legged deadlifts, I do a couple of sets of Jefferson curls, and then some core work, and that's it for the day. On Tuesdays, I go into the garage again because I'm not going to drive to the gym in the middle of the day because I don't want to spend that time in the car. And I can do 3 heavy sets of rear foot elevated split squats with a really good level of intensity. And then I just get some steps in on an incline treadmill. Wednesdays is an upper body day. Thursdays, sometimes I get some rowing intervals in, but it depends if I'm spending the day with my son on that day and if he goes down for a long enough nap. Saturday, I'll get an upper body session in, but again, it kind of depends. I might be at home, I might be at the gym. But the point I'm trying to get at is that it doesn't matter because by the end of the week, I will have trained almost all muscle groups at least twice. I would have taken a good number of training sets, i.e. good amount of volume, close to or to muscular failure, i.e. intensity. And I do that every single week, every single month for decades. And that's what you need to be able to do. It's not your training split that's holding you back. It's not your exercise selection. It's an inability to consistently train those muscle groups to a good level of intensity with a good number of sets, i.e. volume, frequently enough, twice a week. I almost forgot the third one there. So whatever training split you need, however you need to manage and organize your training to do those 3 things, that's the training split for you. I know that if I went to the gym on Monday and I went to the gym on Tuesday, I would have slightly better training sessions and I could be more particular with my exercise selection, but guess what? It's not going to happen, so it's not worth worrying about. You spend too much time worrying about your training splits and your exercise selection and tempos and whether you should be doing 10 reps or 12 reps, and you'll end up splitting hairs over something that's going to have no real significant impact on you anyway. The perfect training split is the one that allows you to train your muscles consistently with enough volume, frequently enough, a couple of times a week, with enough working sets that are taken very close to or to muscular failure. That's the perfect training split. That's all there is to it. Like, if you come across this content online and you see those kids arguing with each other, just let them crack on. They've got the time and they've got the energy to worry about that sort of stuff. And for them, yeah, it kind of matters because they've probably got so much free time in their day that they can decide to change it whenever they want. But for the rest of us who are scraping together 30 to 60 minutes here and there across the week to exercise, to be fit, to get stronger, then just get it done. You don't need to buy into a specific training method or structure. You need to fit your training around your lifestyle rather than trying to fit your lifestyle around your training. Anyway, I hope that helps. If you found it useful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll catch you on next one.